What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, continuing my deep dive into Bruce Springsteen's studio albums. Today, I got the 4 that he released in the first decade of the 2000s. Not doing the Pete Seeger sessions. There will be a separate video for that, and I will rank that among the other covers albums I'm doing because it's a covers album. But I do have 4 releases to talk about. This was a good decade for Bruce. There's an inconsistent album, a strong album that there's a couple inconsistent albums with some really strong highlights. There's one really solid album, and one of these albums, my number one, I think is up there with the best of his work of all time. I really, one album in this decade I absolutely love. I still have blepharitis. This eye, it's still a little squinty. I did make one version of this intro, and my eye just still cosmetically isn't that awesome. So I'm going to stick with the sunglasses for now. But yeah, that's it. Rank these 4. I'll put these 4 among all the others I've done 70s, 80s, and 90s at the end of the video if you want to see what that complete list looks like. But yeah, that's about it. My thoughts on Springsteen in the beginning of the 21st century. Let's get on to album number 4. My number 4 is his 16th 2009's Working on a Dream. This does contain one of the worst songs he's ever put out, Queen of the Supermarket. Just some really cheesy lyrics. One of the lines, as I lift my groceries into my car, he like turns around and sees her smile, and it just blows away everything in the supermarket. It's almost as if Ween was like, hey, write a Springsteen song, and these were the lyrics they came up with. I don't know. It's just really kind of cringy. And there's just some interesting songs on here that are just, it's an inconsistent album. There are some definite songs that I think are good, but there's also some that are just like, why did he choose to go this route? The opening song, Outlaw Pete, is like this 8-minute storytelling epic. Like it's a Western type thing. It's way too long. The melody, one of the melodies is straight up, I was made for loving you, baby. Like I want to go listen to some Kiss, and I'm not a Kiss fan. So it's an interesting opener that almost has no relation to the rest of the album and just sets this odd tone for this 8-minute epic. There's another song in the middle called Good Eye that is just this really sort of ZZ Top mangled blues type vibe with like affected vocals and stuff like that, like overproduced like vocals. It just feels so out of place for what the rest of the album is. And the rest of the album kind of feels like it's continuing in the vein of Magic, the album that preceded it. Not yet on this list, won't be on this list for a while. In that it's this kind of really radio friendly, loudly produced vibe that worked well on Magic, kind of works well for some of the songs on here, but it's just kind of an inconsistent album. Outlaw Pete, I just don't think it's a good opener. My Lucky Day, the second song, is your typical second song where immediately the drums go in and we're in it. Some nice sax, some great bass playing for an okay song. Working on a Dream is just kind of some mid-tempo dad rock. There's a lot of Bruce just kind of almost mining like a Jeff Tweedy dad rock vein, only, Tweedy's got his version of it, and this is sort of Bruce's version of it, which I don't think is as successful. Queen of the Supermarket, no. But then we got some good songs, like towards the second half, middle and second half. What Love Can Do, just nice, great, bouncy, tight rock vibe with some excellent bass playing. It's like less than 3 minutes, really effective, in and out, not a wasted note, good song. This Life is okay. There's some saxophone at the end that I don't really like, but it also, This Life, and there's another song later on that really just kind of sound like, what is it, Kingdom of Days, that sound like songs that are off Magic, but almost like they almost have a similar vibe and a similar like mid-tempo feel, kind of serious, but kind of this momentum, this forward momentum about them. But these seem like he had a bunch for Magic, and these are the ones that didn't make the cut, and now they're here. I don't think that's the case. But they just feel like pale imitations of songs that worked better on the previous album. Good Eye just feels completely out of place. Tomorrow Never Knows, not a Beatles cover. Kind of a nice little country vibe. It starts off with almost sounds like it's going to be like CCR's Down on the Corner with this like acoustic guitar thing. But then it goes into a pretty nice breezy country vibe that works. Life Inside, Life Itself is a really cool song. Nice acoustic rock vibe with this urgency, some really great organ playing in there. Kingdom of Days just sounds kind of like a pale imitation of something off Magic. Surprise, surprise, a weirdly upbeat poppy song that if someone had told me it was a cover of like a monkey song from like the TV show from the band back in the 60s, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Only we get like, as we get to like a bridge, I think it's the bridge. There's just, of course, some like more poetic, like darkly intense Springsteen lyrics that kind of counter the monkeys thing. But it is this really fun, breezy, like almost simple song that would be a great encore number, but I believe the only time he ever played it other than the tour for this album is at the end of the set when he would take like sign requests and play them acoustic. I'm like, no, this is like a full band end of the show, really feel good song. We get a song called The Last Carnival, nice, gentle, kind of a little number. And then as a bonus track, and I think it's on a bonus track on every version of this, is The Wrestler, which is from the movie with Mickey O'Rourke. Mickey Rourke, not O'Rourke, Mickey Rourke. And it's from his point of view and reading the lyrics and listening to the song. And if you know the image of Mickey Rourke from this movie, you're like, oh yeah, this fits this perfectly. So it's not a bad album, but I do think like Magic to me is a hugely successful, absolute magical album. And this almost seems like he wants to vary a little bit the musical landscape, but those chances he's taking, the Outlaw Pete epic, the bluesy part of Good Eye, the more like, I don't know, populist lyrics of Queen of the Supermarket, whatever that is, just don't work as well. So, yeah, that would be my number 4 in this decade, Working on a Dream. My number 3 is his 12th, 2002's The Rising. I've never kind of like The River. I'm not on the same page with most fans and most critics about this album. I don't see it as a return to form. There is one in this decade that to me, I'm like, yeah, all hail return to form. This one isn't it. This one seems to me like he's settling into some mid tempo dad rock, again with the Jeff Tweedy comparison. Just like, I'm getting older, I'm settling down, don't need to push too hard, don't need to rock too hard. I can still do what I do. I just don't think all of it works. Some of it's just kind of, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's like, wow, Springsteen's back. I think there's a mistake he made. The last song, My City of Ruins, which is an absolutely fantastic song, has this repeated refrain of like, come on, rise up, come on, rise up, in its song. Just a great, has really nice last song vibes. But the problem is the song The Rising is the 13th song. My City of Ruins is the 15th song. The Rising, the title track, which kind of just immediately starts with like a voice and a guitar energy, and then it kind of rises throughout the duration of the song, should have been the opener. We have The Rising, we have the theme of The Rising. And then at the end of the album, we have this really, really good song, My City of Ruins, with this repeated idea of come on, rise up, would have balanced the album out perfectly. It's kind of weird to have The Rising is like 13, and then 2 songs later, we go back to this like theme of The Rising for the first time. I think there was a failure there to like frame this album with these concepts of, hey, let's rise up. There's some really good songs on here, but then there's also a lot of stuff that I just think is like average mid-tempo Bruce stuff. Lonesome Day, the opener, kind of mid-tempo Bruce rock. Into the Fire, another one that's mid-tempo, just maybe a little bit gentler. A lot of these songs will start off with like a certain maybe slower, more sparser vibe, and then there's a drop in which the tempo picks up. It usually pretty works, but you start to see sort of a pattern after a while. Waiting on a sunny day, just this really optimistic vibe, as the title suggests. It just kind of works. It's got a nice swing to it. It's like simple and straightforward, but really well executed for what it is. Nothing Man, kind of a slower ballad with like an I'm on Fire type synth vibes, but I think we're tapping into that I'm on Fire vibe. Counting on a Miracle, I just don't think is very good. I think that's kind of predictable, kind of just I don't know, too easy. It's too the chorus is too repetitive. I don't think it goes anywhere too interesting. Empty Sky, really awesome song. It's Empty Sky because she is gone. It's got one of those vibes. Really good melody. Worlds Apart sounds like it belongs on a Peter Gabriel album musically. Completely doesn't fit in the Bruce Springsteen. I understand he's experimenting, doing something a little bit different, but it feels like if it had dropped on like Up or Us, it would have fit in perfectly on a Gabriel album. Kind of really doesn't work here. I like the vocals. I like the melody of the song. I just think musically, maybe a different choice should have been made. Let's Be Friends, Skin to Skin is like a pop rock mid tempo song. Not a fan of the saxophone sound. Further on up the road is like the bluesy number on here, but it's kind of overproduced and robs what could be a slightly edgier song of its edge, at least to my ears. Like there's potential here, it's just wasted. The Fuse is awesome. Electronic drums, it kind of slowly burns like a fuse would slowly burn. Title, form meeting function really, really well. Um, Kind of a neat little song. There's a lot of sort of productive production things going on, but I think it all kind of works. Just has a really nice smoldering vibe about it. Mary's Place gives me like Paper on Fire, John Cougar Mellencamp, Lonesome Jubilee vibes, but um, I'm okay with that. It also kind of works. Has this gospely feel to it. Live, absolutely works fantastically. Um, Almost feels like one of those songs that he never should have committed to vinyl, and it should only be a live song. And you're really excited if you get a Mary's Place towards the end of a show. Felt like it should have been one of those special treats, especially on an album that's like 72 minutes long. Uh, you're Missing, nice little piano ballad that really works, some violin action, changing the sort of dynamics of the album a little bit, but I think it works. The title track comes next. Good song, not great. Think it's more effective as an opener. And then we end with two pretty good songs, Paradise, which is like a softer, delicate acoustic number, and then the closing, My City of Ruins, which I think is absolutely a fantastic song. Great organ, great vibes, kind of gives me a band feel. Really, really, really good song. Um, but I think it would have been more effective had The Rising been the opener and then we return to this theme of Rise Up. But I don't think this is the home run that a lot of critics do think it is. It definitely has its moments, but it's also got things where I'm like, okay, that's just Bruce doing like mid-tempo dad rock, whatever. But not a bad album, but it would be my number three, The Rising. My number two for this decade is 2005's Devils and Dust, his 13. Um, in the large narrative of Springsteen's career, this is sort of a companion album to Nebraska, The Ghost of Tom Joad, but it's definitely nowhere near as stark and bare as either of those. It's a little more of a like a rootsy Americana, folky, acoustic type thing. Sometimes we got some drums in here, so we got like a full band action in a lot of these songs. A number of these songs, more so than The Rising, like start off slow and then the band comes in. But the drummer on this is Steve Jordan, and there's a number of songs on here where his sort of just really no nonsense efficiency reminds me another John Cougar Mellencamp comparison to Mellencamp's Scarecrow. Kenny Aronoff is the drummer on there, and there are a number of songs where it's just this like perfectly, like I don't want to say skeletal, but just perfectly efficient driving drum sound that the production on this captures so incredibly well. So anytime the band does come in, it's with a kick, but not with anything extra. It's just there to support whatever the song is. I just think the vibe throughout this entire album is perfect. It's incredibly well balanced. It's incredibly well sequenced. There's a number of just outright awesome songs. Like this is just a home run from start to finish. And it just feels a little lighter and more optimistic than like the Nebraska Ghost of Tom Joad comparisons. But this is sort of his version of that in like the new millennium. The title track opens up, and it's one of those, it's just, this is what Bruce is so good at. Like immediately you're like, it's just him in the beginning. Eventually other instruments come in and the intensity builds. But from the beginning, it's Bruce, it's his voice. There's this dark storytelling energy. You're just engaged with him from the beginning. It's nice and dynamic. These electronic drums drop towards the end that you're like, yeah, this is working perfectly. Absolutely fantastic opener. Next up, we have All the Way Home, which has a nice, really tight groove, almost like a mid tempo radio rock. Um, this is the one that reminds me of Scarecrow right off the bat with just these really nice, tight drums, really good vibe, awesome song, nice guitar work throughout the entire thing. This nice little like motif that just gets repeated. Reno, this really awesome acoustic ballad that is graphic in a way that no other Bruce Springsteen song is. And it's a little almost like, okay, interesting these choices he's making. But then when you get to the end of the song, and there's not really a twist, but the way the lyrics lay out the story, it's kind of powerful and kind of effective and kind of sad. But there is a graphicness to this song that's a little bit, interesting choices, Bruce. Long time coming. Um, Nice, really good acoustic energy for a rock song. This is sort of a personal family journey that some nice rollicking vibe. Not the most upbeat song as, but the energy of the song is really good. And then as you pay attention to the lyrics, you realize there's depth to the song. I think those are his best albums, like this album and the one that's number one on the list. Like the music brings you in the beginning, and so you're engaged, and then as you listen more and more and you really start to pay attention to the lyrics, you realize, oh, there's really a darkness under this sort of upbeat sort of propelling motion of the music. Black Cowboy is an acoustic ballad with this really nice storytelling vibe to it. Very character driven. We're going back to those sort of character driven narratives that Nebraska and Ghost of Tom Joad did so well. Maria's Bed, which is just an awesome sort of low key Americana song that's where we find comfort in hard times is in Mary's Bed. Nice up tempo drop about 2 minutes in that just gives it even more energy, but it has this very sort of relaxing, chilling, comforting vibe as Mary's Bed, as Maria's Bed, not Mary's Bed, as Maria's Bed provides us. Silverback Palomino, nice intimate acoustic ballad. Jesus Was an Only Son. It's a song about Jesus, man. Just pretty straightforward. Nice organ vibe to this. We continue with the biblical trend with Leah. I'm assuming this is Leah from the Bible. He wants to be with Leia. He wants to be like Leia. This is like a full-on Americana vibe. The Hitter, really nice sort of, I'm thinking of like, almost like Bruce Willis's character in Pulp Fiction or Clint Eastwood's character in Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can, like a street fighter used to be a boxer, now he's on kind of on the run. I think he may have taken some money like Willis did in a fight that he should have maybe not taken. Now he's fighting in back alleys and just like, making ends meet by beating people up. Pretty neat little character driven song. All I'm thinking about is you, really nice breezy 70s acoustic Eric Clapton vibe in here. Just a really great like back porch groove to this. And then the closing Matamoros Banks, a nice intimate acoustic thing. Just from start to finish, more of an acoustic album, more of a chiller album, but there's still moments where like the energy is popping, but the band never like pushes too hard or rocks too hard. We don't get this random blues indulgence that doesn't fit or anything like that. It's just the vibe works, the production works, the sequencing works. This is a really, really solid album for a man who's like, decades into his career at this point. But there's one other left in this decade, and it is, I say, an outright masterpiece. My number one, and I think one of his all time great albums, is his 15th studio album, 2007's Magic. It's a perfect album from start to finish. To me, this is Devils and Dust is like his Nebraska, Ghost of Tom Joad. This is like his Born to Run, Born in the USA, Magic. Big production, radio friendly production. These are like rock songs, pop songs. We're rocking out a little harder than we have in a while, but it's not a hard rock album or a rockin' album. It's just almost an adult rock album at sometimes, kind of similar to other stuff he was doing in The Rising or in the album that follows, Working on a Dream. but the songwriting is impeccable. The lyrics are amazing. This is one of those albums. I don't know what I was doing in 2007 when this came out, but like I fell in love with this album immediately and played it to death. And it was one of those where like the melodies and the music immediately drew me in. It was just what I needed. And then the more I listened to it and the more I got into the lyrics, I was like, oh my gosh, there's just so much going on here. It's just a great, great album. And I do think it's sort of the companion to Born in the USA. It's kind of that same vibe. Everything is just radio friendly, rock friendly. It's palpable to a larger audience, but it's also like a hardcore Bruce Springsteen album when you get down to the nitty gritty. Opening track, Radio Nowhere, absolutely love. Just a straight rock song with an awesome groove. Love the line, I want a million different voices speaking in tongues. Just about listening to the radio and there's somebody out there. You're trying to connect with people. It just, the album starts off immediately. We're just in it. We're going. We're committed to this. The next song, You'll Be Coming Down, just this nice big acoustic rock mid-tempo vibe, great melody, kind of flirts with like Tom Petty Americana rock and in the best way possible. It's a reality check song lyrically. You'll be coming down soon, one of these days. So yeah, you might want to get off your high horse before you're thrown from it. Living in the Future. This has his sort of early rock sound that he loves so much, but it all works. There's saxophone. It's a lot of just real confident swagger in here. It's one of those like, don't worry, baby, everything's going to be all right. We're living in the future. We'll make it through this. Yeah, just another, like we're 3 for 3. We're like, we got doubles, singles, triples. We're scoring runs already on this album. Next up, Your Own Worst Enemy. Nice piano strings opening, like a leaner type vibe. It's almost flirting with Beatles energy, the way the strings are working in the background, almost like countering like the main melody of the song. It's just a really rich sounding track production wise, but it works perfectly with sort of what we're doing in the first 3 songs. Next up is Gypsy Biker. We got some haunting harmonica in here, sort of this nervously upbeat sort of acoustic vibe that just like keeps things like moving forward, but keeps things kind of tense the entire time. We also we get a drop. We return to sort of the rock energy of the opening track. So we're keeping that sort of rock thread through the whole thing. Bass is absolutely fantastic. Girls in Their Summer Clothes. This is a guy who is maybe looking for solace in something. And so he sees these girls in their summer clothes and maybe it gives him a little bit of hope. Just a really neat vibe, this almost nostalgic longing that goes through the whole thing. It's something that Springsteen does so well, that he did so well on Born in the USA. And this is a song that I think lyrically and maybe even musically could have fit really well on Born in the USA. But now we're like, 2 decades past that. I'll Work for Your Love. A nice piano intro into a mid-tempo rocker drop. We got biblical references in here. A lot of biblical stuff for him in the 2000s. Sort of a commitment to some like hold steady religious imagery that just runs throughout the entire song. One of the highlights of the album, just really good pop music. I want to say it's one of the shorter songs, like 3.5 minutes, but it's just so incredibly effective. The title track, which is like a chill acoustic song, almost flirts with like a slow Dire Straits song. Like this could have been on the second side of Brothers in Arms and would have fit in perfectly. We get Last to Die, another more rocky type song, some more just incredible lyrics, driving energy, just excellent bass playing by Gary Talent. Again, his bass playing throughout so many of these is just fantastic. Long Walk Home. Anytime you're taking a long walk home, you're contemplating things and you're thinking things and you're kind of, very contemplative song as fits the title. But also there's still this sense of like moving forward and trying to like, there's an urgency to the music. Devil's Arcade, dark, moody narrative, some low-key storytelling, some really great lyrics, nice slowly builds as it goes on. A great false front closer. I don't think that's the right. It's because it's not the real closer. There's a hidden track. I don't think it's no longer a hidden track. It's now just a track. But the Devil's Arcade works as a closer. It's got these the lyrics are almost like this fragments of some like hallucinatory memory. It's just this really neat sort of dark song to close out with this awesome melody. But then the bonus track, the hidden track, is called Terry Song. It's about a close personal friend of Bruce's who recently had passed away. Nice and intimate and acoustic, great closing vibe, whether it's like the acknowledged closing track or whether you stick around for like 20 seconds as a hidden track. But I think this album is like darn near perfect from start to finish. It flows perfectly. There's so many great ideas that are varied enough to make it interesting, but not varied enough. You're like, that doesn't even fit on this album. It reminds me so much of Born in the USA. And I just think those two albums should be, and these two albums should be in the conversation together. Because this is just absolutely amazing. And Gary Talent on bass, man. So many moments. I'm like, man, the bass is really bringing it on this one. But easily my number one, and I think one of his all-time best albums, Magic. So that is what this decade looks like in writing, like I just explained or justified or whatever you want to say. And then if I were to roll these albums into everything that he's released up to this point, that is what it looks like. I have The Rising right above The River down at 11. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of The River. I recognize why people like it. I understand that. I've never been able to like buy into that album. Same kind of with The Rising. Devils and Dust I have above The Ghost of Tom Joad, though that and Tunnel of Love are pretty close for me. Tunnel of Love, every time I listen to it, I think it just gets better. And then Magic. Oh, what else on here? Oh yeah, Working on Your Dream, way down at 13. And then Magic I have at number 5. I think Magic is I think it's a special album. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It ranks up there with the all-time greats as far as I'm concerned. Just an absolute classic of an album. But yeah, that's all I got. So those are my thoughts on this. We got some more albums to go in this catalog. I'm not sure any of these are going to be. Definitely, I don't think any of them are going to reach the height of Magic, unfortunately. But we'll see what we get. But all right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know what you think of these albums. And that's all I have. Peace. Talk to you later.